I don't know if a team has done such a good job of changing my viewpoint on the organization than the Titans did this past offseason. From getting rid of the outright disaster that was Brian Callahan, which, to be fair, they did during the season, but hiring Robert Saleh, which I had my questions about at first, because it's the big thing. You're hiring defensive mind. Who's his offense coordinator? Brian Daboll's his offense coordinator. Okay. I'm intrigued. And then they just had a spectacular offseason. They brought in guys that know this offense. They know the scheme. They know how to be utilized. And then you just had a spectacular drafts of all drafts. I'm excited for the 2026 Titans, and I'm so excited to preview them today. So let's jump into it as I get a rave about this team that's on the up and coming. The Tennessee Titans brought in a lot of giants. Wan'Dale Robinson, Cordell Flatt, Daniel Bellinger, Austin Schlottman, and another former Brian Daboll coach player in Mitch Trubisky. Now, why am I highlighting those guys first? Well, they kind of know with what their offensive coordinator wants. Now, not all of them play offense. One plays defense, but Wan'Dale Robinson, he knows his scheme fit immediately. Daniel Bellinger, he knows his fit immediately. Schlottman, he knows his fit immediately. And Mitch Trubisky knows the offense as a quarterback. And considering Cam Ward is a young developing quarterback, having someone in the room with him that's played under Brian Daboll that can translate a lot of the language for him is just good business. You also brought in Alontae Taylor, John Franklin Myers. They brought in so much talent to make this team so much better. Wan'Dale Robinson is leaps and bounds better than any receiving threat the Titans had last year. Mitch Trubisky is a viable backup that is, like I said, a former Brian Daboll player. John Franklin Myers teaming up with Jeffrey Simmons, Jeremiah Johnson, who they got in a trade, and along with their first-round pick, Keldrick Folk, brings up a pretty good defensive line. Taylor Flott improves a horrendous secondary. This team is a far, far better team than what we saw last year. Even Jake Martin, Joshua Williams, Jordan Elliott, those are guys that will make an impact, maybe just not a major one. And they didn't really lose anybody of value. Chigakonkwu, Arden Key, Sebastian Joseph Day, Kaiir Elam, Johnny Hekker. Really, maybe the biggest loss was Lloyd Cushenberry, but that was a failure with him in Tennessee. They moved off a couple of guys that really don't affect them whatsoever and brought in a lot of talent that knows how to play under the coaching staff there now. Just excellent free agency work by the Titans. The Titans finally get Cam Ward some wide receiver help. Now, they did already with the free agency period, but the 4th overall pick, in which was deemed a stunner at the time, but I screamed at the top of my lungs, finally. He's got a number 1 type guy. Carnell Tate is the perfect wide receiver for Cam Ward, as he can take the top off of a defense. He can play the deep ball extremely well. He's got good route running ability. He comes from the Brian Hartline school of wide receivers, which automatically makes them a much better prospect than 90% of other wide receivers, because Brian Hartline trains them so damn well at Ohio State, now at USF. But you look at Carnell Tate. He has the exact ability you want to translate to the NFL. Can track the ball well in the air, good route running ability, good hands, good speed, nothing that blows you away, but good solid speed. He's going to be a good player for this Titans offense and going to be utilized heavily in Daboll's system. And also, he's not going to be the only guy. It's not just like, oh, we just take care of Carnell Tate, he's locked down. You now have Wan'Dale Robinson there as well, and maybe Calvin Ridley can produce somewhat, but I wouldn't expect a whole lot there. But Carnell Tate makes this roster and team a whole lot better. Then they take Keldrick Folk. And Keldrick Folk was my tradesy player I was allowed to love in this draft class. You're always allowed to have one tradesy player per draft class that you just fall in love with and will hammer your fist on the table for him over and over and over and over and over again. And Folk, just to me, he was that guy. He has the prototypical size. He has the athletic build. He has the traits that just make you go, oh my God, over and over and over again. And here's the thing. He might bulk up. He might move inside. And if that's the case, yeah, fine. But he's working with Robert Saleh. He's working with a defensive staff that knows how to work with defensive players and develop them to their fullest potential. He's going to be better than what a lot of people think. Will he reach the heights that some people like me think he can? I don't know. But at the very least, his floor was raised getting drafted by the Titans and working with Robert Saleh. Anthony Hill Jr. I wasn't as high on him, apparently, as some other people, as I found out recently, but I still think he has all the potential in the world to be a very good linebacker, and with what I just said about Keldrick Falk, times that by 10 working with Robert Saleh as a linebacker. Robert Saleh works magic with inside linebackers. No matter who it is, no matter where they come from, they will have career years under Robert Saleh because he knows how to utilize them. He knows how to trigger them downhill. He knows how to get them back in coverage. Overall, Anthony Hill Jr., in my opinion, is at his best when he's playing downhill. But he does show some athletic ability to really come back in coverage and learn and develop into that role. And Robert Saleh working with him, teaching him everything that goes into that, is really going to help him develop as a player. And then we go to some other guys, and they didn't have another pick after Anthony Hill Jr. until the 5th round. Fernando Carmonia, guard, Arkansas, solid. Nothing really blows the doors off there. Nicholas Singleton, I really liked, and I wouldn't be shocked if he actually became the lead back sooner rather than later. You look at the Titans running back room, Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears. Spears has had a lot of knee injuries his entire career, dating back to college, and Tony Pollard is good, but he's not going to blow you away. And Nick Singleton, he's got that it factor. He's got that ability to really wow you, and I think he could be a big-time player for the Titans moving forward. Jackie Marshall, he's just a 3-technique guy whose 2024 film was far superior than 2025. That Baylor defense really regressed in 2025. His 2024 film, though, shows the ability to play 3-tech, be a gap control player. Maybe it's in him. I really don't like betting on guys who really take a major step back in their draft year, but overall, it's solid, man. It's hard to argue. Then you have Pat Cogan, who is like a 5-year NFL veteran playing college football last year. That's just what he reminded me of. And Jaron Kanak, I didn't watch it all. But overall, the Titans had a draft I just loved to death. I think they aced this. I think they built this team up so much better moving forward over the next couple of years. Like, Cardinal Tate can immediately become that instant impact player and just help Cam Ward develop as a passer. Then you have Keldrick Falk. You have Anthony Hill Jr. You have those two guys that if you hit on them, and Robert Saleh is going to do his damnedest to hit on them, you have 2 impact defensive players with Jeffrey Simmons on that defense, in that front 7 alone, to really impact quarterbacks and running backs. Overall, just a tremendous draft and one of my personal favorites. We know what Robert Saleh is as a head coach, but I don't know if we truly appreciate how good he is. Just look at the Jets, from when he was coaching them to now. Talk about regression. And maybe they didn't see the greatest heights, but in Saleh's defense, the quarterbacks were Zach Wilson and 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers, which is, not the best. And you just look at the fact that he got so much out of that team that just didn't have a whole lot, I think tells how good of a coach he is. And then you look at the jobs he did at San Francisco, managing the injuries as a defensive coordinator. Just look at last year, the tremendous coaching job he put forth with every single player getting hurt. Bosa, Warner, anybody who mattered was getting injured, but it didn't matter on the field because Robert Saleh coached those guys to their absolute best. They didn't have a pass rush really with their players. They only had a Nick Bosa. Didn't matter. Robert Saleh figured out ways to get sacks, whether it's schematically or just being that bull in the china shop that's going to break everything until it gets what it wants. That's what Robert Saleh did last year, and it deserves so much credit. My team was hiring a head coach last year. My team's the Pittsburgh Steelers. I initially didn't want Robert Saleh to be my team's head coach, but First of all, I would have actually taken him over who my team hired in Mike McCarthy. But second of all, I took every single thought of that back once I saw he hired Brian Daboll to be his offensive coordinator. Brian Daboll is still a tremendous offensive coach, but he was with the New York Giants. Ironically, Saleh and Daboll both hamstrung by two horrible organizations in the Giants and Jets. Both of them have seen great success as coaches. Brian Daboll developed Josh Allen. He's coming in to work with Cam Ward, who he desperately wanted with the Giants. But how is this going to play out? Is Brian Daboll really going to stay long enough for it to matter? Well, I don't really think it matters too much. Say he stays for 2 seasons only. Does Cam Ward develop into a legitimate elite NFL starting quarterback? Great hire. Great job. Yep, nope, no complaints. That is a major success because Cam Ward is the whole point of this coaching change. Callahan was an outright disaster. There was nothing good you could say about him as a head coach. It's not just that. You could watch in the Titans just the effort they put forth with him on the staff. And then afterwards, the fire they had was so much more noticeable once he was fired. Well, who's a great coach that can come in there and just get the fire going? Robert frickin' Saleh. And he brought in the offensive mastermind to work with Cam Ward and get everything going. Overall, I think the Titans aced the coaching search process because not only did they get a guy that can really help elevate this roster and work with this defense, but they also managed to somehow bring in a coach that knows how to develop highly skilled, athletic, traitsy quarterbacks. And Cam Ward, as of right now, entering his second year, had more things going for him than Josh Allen did when Brian Daboll started working with him. So that's something we really need to look at here, as Cam Ward very well might be the next guy we're all terrified to see pop up on the schedule because of this coaching search. Now, where do I see the Tennessee Titans finishing the season? Well, honestly, I see improvement. I see them finishing third place in their division and legitimately being a tough out for every team they face. Because this defense is so much better than last year, and this offense, it's not even funny how much better it is. This team is just a better unit, and they had young players that showed out last year at the end of the season. DK, Eilmanor showcased they could be good, reliable wide receivers. But they're no longer asked to be the top 2 guys on the team. Now you have Wan'Dale Robinson, you have Carnell Tate to really help with that. Calvin Ridley may not make the roster, which honestly, probably the best case scenario for the Titans as they can really focus on their younger guys instead of getting the ball to Calvin Ridley. But you also have the fact that their defense is coming along. Jeffrey Simmons is one of the best interior defensive linemen in the entire NFL. John Franklin Myers is a great one as well. Jeremiah Johnson is an edge rusher that has worked with Robert Saleh, that knows with what Saleh wants to do, and Saleh knows how to utilize him to his best potential. Keldrick Falk, like I said, if he hits, that is a tremendous talent to work with Robert Saleh. Anthony Hill Jr. is going to have a great year. It's just going to happen. I know it's a rookie. I know it's a linebacker. Oh, what is he going to do? It's Robert Saleh. He knows how to get the most out of his linebacker position. The secondary, I think it will be better. I don't know how good it will be, but it should be better. And really, the only thing I really just don't care for on this team, that's the offensive line. And that's mainly because I think the tackle situation is just not good, and I'm sure Titans fans know that as well, and it's something that they need to look to address in the future. I'm sure the 2027 draft class, a big focus will be, let's get the left tackle of our future. We got a lot of pieces going for us. We need to protect Cam Ward's blind spot. Dan Moore can hold it down for this season. He's not the worst offensive lineman in the entire NFL, but he's not someone you're really going to bet on being the guy for the next 4 years of Cam Ward's career. You need that stabilizing unit, and that's just not something they have right now. But you just look at the trajectory of this team. They're going to be a tough out. They're going to upset some teams that we didn't see coming, and they might be pushing in that wild card race later than what we thought. If I had to guess, they're going to win more games down the stretch than they lose, because not only is this young team going to start to really put the pieces together, but the coaches are going to learn how to utilize them to their fullest potential, and that's going to make for a scary combination. If you play the Titans, I hope for your sake it's in the early parts of the season, because you play them back half the season, they're probably going to be better than what you think. I'd like to say thank you very much for watching this video. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. If you'd share this, I'd greatly appreciate it. I'm doing 32 in 32 days, and this is one of the final days of consecutive uploads of NFL team previews, as the Washington Commanders are the last one, and that goes up tomorrow. And if you watch this at a later date, every single 32 team preview will be up on this channel, and I hope you check those out. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope y'all have an amazing day.